Hi, everyone. Glad to see you all. If you don't mind, just drop your, for our guests, just drop your name and your school in the chat for me, because that really helps with my record keeping when I go back to do my report on how many folks we were able to get online. So that's a big help to me, and it lets everybody else know who we have.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Scott. Well, we're going to get started. It is 3:31, and there might be some more folks popping in, but I did hear for some other folks as recently as the last 30 minutes that they have things going on like testing training and that type of thing. So we know it's that time of year, and we would be thinking an impossible thing if we thought everybody could make it. So I'm glad that you are here. I appreciate you joining us. We wanted to sort of bring closure to our experiences with our Duke Energy Science Night just by having a little debrief webinar, and welcome you all. I did not want to go through this meeting without saying how much we appreciate our teachers. Some on the line, some folks on the line are former teachers, but have moved on to different things, but we certainly appreciate you so much. I hope that your folks in your building and your classroom are making you feel appreciated this week. Always, when I was in a school setting as recently as just like 5 years ago, I always enjoyed Teacher Appreciation Week so much, but I always felt challenged that it was happening at the time of year when there was 10 other things happening that took up our time and our energy. So I hope that you guys do feel appreciated every day, but especially during this week. As always, we want to definitely thank our partners. Dr. Peters has been very supportive of this program. Amanda Dow and Mindy from Duke Energy and our South Carolina contacts with the Duke Energy Foundation have stayed with me throughout and been great supporters and cheering us on. And Jonathan Frederick from the North Carolina Science Festival and his colleague, Kim Moore, is on the line with us. Kim's looking great today. Great to have you, Kim. You're in the office today? Awesome. So she has been my nonstop partner. I mean, we have been like side by side, had a great routine going to keep things moving along, and it's been a wonderful partnership. So thank our partners so much. As a reminder, this is the ground we covered, and it is phenomenal. And here are some numbers to tell you about how much ground we covered. So as of last night, we have 26 schools who have responded to the survey, which is an awesome number of respondees. There are a few, it looked like their survey had some technical difficulties, and I had to ask them to retry again because they didn't quite get all their data in there. So I'll have to go back and add those up later. But you can see the number of students and family members accounted for, school staff, 142 additional volunteers. And this is the most amazing stat, which Kim and I have talked about during our conversations in planning, and that is that this event and this planning gave you an opportunity to invite families back into your buildings for the first time since March of 2020, most likely. And 11 people confirmed that to be true. So that's 1/3 of our events were sort of that springboard that finally gave you the confidence and the timing was right so that you could do that. And we're so excited about that. I've put this at the front of the agenda because Scott has told me that he would be glad to share, but he has another commitment. So he is going to come up first on the spotlight. And I asked Scott and Ashlyn specifically to share a couple specific things that I just happened to have picked up on through communication with them and things they shared with me that I thought were sort of out of the box things or things that I felt like really stretched the opportunity at their event. And so, Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you and just ask you to take a couple of minutes, give us some quick highlights of how it went down in Spartanburg 6.
It's saying I cannot share the screen while the other participant is sharing.
And I will stop sharing.
Okay. So share.
Dallas, does he have share rights?
It looks like I do now.
Awesome.
Is that being shared?
Yep, we see your browser.
How about that?
We still see your browser. There's your spreadsheet.
My spreadsheet's up now?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a Google Doc that I created for Spartanburg County School District 6. Our school district decided to, we like the idea of splitting it down into grade levels, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. We had it over 3 Mondays. And so I created this document and shared it with all of my teachers that volunteered to come out and help. So you can see the room number, the activity, and so on all the way across. But like inside here, there was links to the videos that was provided by y'all. And then one I created myself because I wanted to change things just a little bit to meet a little bit better of a South Carolina standard. The activity guide and then the science behind it, those things were provided by y'all. Teacher, now notice over here, I had lots of volunteers from our high school. We just went through Cognia certification. And one of the things we got docked for was vertical collaboration. So here I got some of our high school students involved. Teacher cadets, they always need hours to come and help for their certification stuff. I got some of our STEM students, as well as National Honor Society. And then we even had later on some of the chemistry club students come out and do some volunteer work. So the teachers were stationed in each room, but then the students followed one family. So I had like 1 or 2 students per family, and then they followed that family from activity to activity, room to room. So that was a pretty cool thing that we were able to do here in District 6. What else you want me to share, talk about?
You did great. You hit the
Okay.
You hit the high points that I thought were quite unique to your event, and I really appreciated the way you linked everything in your spreadsheet. I thought that was probably a definite plus to help your volunteers. And if I was one of your volunteers, I would have said, yeah, he's got it all lined up for me. I'm ready.
That's how I got it. I just shared the link and everything was all set up. So they knew what they were doing ahead of time. They get there and they just have to do it. And I did have the students come a little bit earlier so they could get a little bit more time. And then they would help me set up the different stations in the room. And in this same document, it showed the rotation. And then, each night then I would print. And so here's the student with their family. I would print this and give it to the families when they would come in. And then like down here is the session times. And I'm a little unique here. I also run our planetarium in District 6. We are very, very, very fortunate to have that. So I gave the families about a 30-minute show or so inside the planetarium before we actually went into to our sessions for that night, because we're be opening up in the fall. So it's trying to drum up a little bit of business that way as well.
Awesome. Does anybody have the other thing? Scott did mention this early on, but I'm not sure everybody caught that. He did a district-wide event versus just a single school event. So he had a very managed group. He did RSVPs, I think folks reserved in advance and signed up. So
Yeah. So here's a flyer I sent out. And it had some QR code things in there. So they could either click on the link or scan it, and it took them to a Google form. They filled out the Google form to reserve their spot, and that provided parent emails. Then I can just select all the parent emails and email them all at one time.
awesome. And since I know Scott has to run, does anybody have a question for Scott that you're just dying to ask before he comes off? Because I might not be able to answer it.
I got 4th grade after school science stuff here at one of our schools in our one of our elementary schools.
But I know Scott doesn't mind. He's awesome at sharing. So if you're interested in reaching out to him now or in the future about how we manage some of these things, if you would just contact me, I'll be glad to relay his information on to you.
Absolutely. I love sharing. I love helping everybody. We're all in this together. So
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Bye, y'all. Have a great day.
Thanks. All right. So that was one sort of out of the box and totally different approach, which I wanted to kind of plant that seed in your mind, because I'm really hoping that we're, looking forward to another year. I hope your mind's already thinking about what can I do next. So that's what I wanted to have Scott share. And then Ashland is here, and she is from Pine Tree Elementary, which is in Kershaw County School District. Camden, I think, is specifically the closest location to her. And she is a 1st grade teacher. She teaches all subjects to 1st graders. And I asked her to share a few things about her Duke Energy Science Night. So Ashlyn, you're up, and you don't have to share screen if you don't have anything. Just let us hear about it.
Okay, so this was our first educational event since COVID. We were allowed to come into the schools at Christmas and do some fun activities with our families, but this was our first education-based activity and event that we have done for our kids. We decided, my principal and I talked about it, and we decided to join this event with our Bullpup Family Fun Bash. So outside the school, they had a lot of fun things to do. And then they came into the school, and we had all of our STEM stations set up in a rotation model. So they could pick and choose which ones they went to. I had about 20 people to assist me with this project. And my principal actually asked me to use all the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade teachers here for that. So I liked it because she assigned the jobs, and then I let them choose their stations and what they wanted to do, and we set it up into a rotation model. So we had a lot of parents come in after they did all the fun stuff, and they did all the science stuff, and they could pick and choose which ones they wanted to go to first. And if they didn't want to go to all of them, then they didn't have to. I had also my volunteers, my teachers, my kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade teachers, they created a model for the students to look at so that they kind of knew what they needed to be doing when they got to our stations. And that was very helpful. That was not, they did that on their own. I did not ask them to do that, but every single one of them came with a model to do. We also had our social media person, one of our 4th grade teachers. She came in before the event and had each of the teachers at the stations tell about the STEM activity and to demonstrate it for our Facebook page. So that was a live video that was going to kind of get our parents and our children excited, and to kind of show them what they would be doing if they decided to come in from the Bullpup Bash. We also had a table set up with free books for them to get. So that brought in some more people because they were grabbing those free books, and then they would see how much fun the other families were having, and they'd go to the rotations. So that was our big things that we did. The main one, I think, being that it was a joint event. I think that really helped pull in lots of families who probably wouldn't have been here if it wasn't the Bullpup Bash. So that was my big rocks.
Thank you for sharing. And I spotlighted Ashland because I followed social media for everybody. Like the day after everybody's event, I was scouring social media to see what happened and to gather some artifacts. And so when I went to Pine Tree Elementary's page, the video was there, and I was like, this is the coolest thing, because they actually live went around and talked to every one of the stations, and the person who was narrating would say, what's going on over here? Tell me about blah, blah, blah. And the teachers were so excited, and they were sharing. And so if there was anybody on the fence about whether they thought they should come to the event or not, and they happened to see that video pop up live on their feed, I think that would have pushed them over to the edge of, hey, we need to go check this out. So I thought that was pretty cool way to use it to your advantage. And so I specifically had those two. There's some other shout outs that are too many to mention, but I did notice that Kim Massey is on our call from Rock Hill, and she was one of our folks who had her event last week, and she had a block party in Rock Hill. Again, a district-wide approach, and tons of people showed up. Kim, how was it?
We had tons. I should also say that last year, year before, we had plans of forming a STEAM bus. And so we had purchased 2 kits from North Carolina that had been stacked up in my office since probably before the pandemic. And so then when we got this grant, that gave us 3 kits. And what I did was assign each of our 14 elementary schools an activity. And then some of them had the videos. And then I opened up the week before the event if they wanted to come and try their activity. Only 3 took me up on that. But our York County Museum, they wanted a tent. Each school was asked to bring a tent, like a tailgate tent, a trash can with a liner, like an office trash can with a liner, 6 pairs of scissors, and a pack of markers. Any other things that the activities needed, coffee cans. If there was anything specific besides that, I did supply those things. But when they arrived, we were set up in the parking lot next to our school district office. They had a table and 2 chairs, which I don't think anybody sat down for the entire event. They had their container that had all of their materials. And at 6 o'clock, we were ready to go. And at that time, the line, because we did do pre-registrations, I closed the pre-registrations at 268 families registered to come to the event. And then everybody seemed to arrive before 6 o'clock. So our check-in kind of caused a backup to the line. And I didn't want people to start leaving because the line was long. So we kind of abandoned that. But I had 500 pizza tickets. So every elementary child was to get a free slice of pizza. And we had food trucks that were invited as well. But we went through the 500 pizza tickets to just the students. So I don't have a count of the number of people who were there, but the feedback has been tremendous. Ran into a lady the other night at Bible study, and she was saying how great it was for her child to do the hands-on science. With so many COVID restrictions, a lot of our classes have not done so many of the hands-on things because they're concerned about the germs and the sharing and passing things around. But they were very happy to do hands-on science. They were asking, where did you get the activities? I had a parent email me to ask if I could post all the activities online so that she could do them with her children over the summer. It went tremendously well, tremendously well. We will be applying again. We've got what we call Central Child Development Center, which is our 4-year-old program here. And I had parents asking at the event, where's the central tent? And I didn't have them do a tent. We do have a charter school. It's a district charter school which is a home for abused and neglected children, but they've got their own school. They reached out to me. They wanted to do a tent. It became a community event. It went very, very well. So we appreciate the grant a lot here in Rock Hill.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that you were able to grow it into that and that you already are thinking ahead to what's next. Keep the momentum going.
One of the principals asked if we could do it again in September. They said they felt like that would be awesome to kick off the school year of science. And I don't, it was due to a grant. I do have materials left over. And we had people who would run out of their materials at their tent because just had so many people. But because we had 3 kits, I had more bags that were already ready to go. Here, you start a new activity. So they, just pick up and roll right with it. Nobody sat down. Nobody got a sip of water. It was only an hour and a half. And the food trucks were also happy they came. They said it was a successful evening.
Those were all good problems to have.
Yes.
So before I go back to sharing my screen, we have 5 other people on the line who have hosted nights, and I just want to give you a chance to share if you'd like to. That was in my PowerPoint, but I would rather share while we can all see each other well. I can't see you once I start sharing, and I don't like that part. So if any of you would like to share some highlights from your event, I would like to give you the chance to do that. And you don't feel obligated to do so if you don't wish to. Can't hear you, Brooke. I see you. And it looks like your microphone is not marked muted, but I still can't hear you. Can anybody hear Brooke? I can't hear. Can you hear us? Well, that stinks that you're willing to talk to us and we can't hear you. Drop us something in the chat, Brooke. Anybody else want to try to share? Hey, Melinda.
I was just gonna say, it was a absolutely wonderful experience. To see the excitement for the kids and the teachers was absolutely incredible, and the parents. It is probably the only event that we've had in the evening that teachers afterwards, after working their tails off, has said, we need to do this again. Usually everybody's going home going, oh my gosh, do we have to do this again? So it was incredible. And I'm so thankful that we had the opportunity to do this.
That's a great report. And thank you for sharing that comment that teachers felt it was that worthwhile that they were willing to give their time to do it again. That speaks volumes.
I think that's the highest praise ever, in my opinion.
I agree.
If I could, what I did was I made a spreadsheet. I had each school listed. I had their activity listed. I pre-assigned their activity. And then I asked for each principal to give me 4 adults. I said, it does not have to be teachers. It can be any 4 adults in your building who are willing to come out to me. Was that we had a lot of principals and assistant principals signed up as 1 or 2 of the 4 adults. And then in talking with them, they felt like their teachers were just dealing with too many things to put this on their plates. So the principals and APs and the media specialists signed. See the kids come and do activities with their principal. That, I don't know, that just touched my heart. I think a lot of the parents were amazed. And then the teachers came with their personal children. That was a great sight. But I just, there were so many things about it that I didn't expect.
Great.
But yes, we had a lot of principals who did the activities.
That's great when our admins are on the scene for STEM. That's a good thing. Brooke did drop something for us in the chat, and she said that it went really well. The kids were amazing, and the fact that they were actually able to move around since they had been restricted so much through COVID was definitely something to be acknowledged about this event. So thank you, Brooke, for sharing. I'm going to put my PowerPoint back up. I think we covered about half of what I had left on there to cover, but I'm going to pop it back up there so you can see it. And can you see it? Great. So you all just shared. And one of my questions I had for you was, what was one of your it was worth it moments from your event? And, you know, some of you just shared what that was when you shared how your teachers and your administrators supported that. And that was great feedback. One of the things that Kim, as our partner, who has really helped us with these materials. I mean, she is fully involved in how these materials roll out, how these activities get tested and ready to come out in the kits. This is all of Kim's gifts and talents. And she has asked us specifically to provide her with any feedback on the activities, materials, or the resources. So if there's anything that sticks out in your mind that was a big challenge, any suggestions you have for materials provided, and if you have any new ideas for an activity, she can speak to this, but her goal is to keep adding new and bring some old ones back at the same time, I think. But she likes to build her bank of activities. So
I think it was called the Galilean cannon. Is it the little balls that are stacked? Is that what that's called? Does anybody know?
Yep,
yes,
that is correct.
Okay. That was one that we chose not to do because when I tried it, the balls were going everywhere and I just expected that it would be too much for the kids to chase the balls around and we would lose them, given the format that we used, since it was outdoors and there were a lot of people. So we didn't do that one. And I had several people, well, where's the elephant toothpaste? They wanted elephant toothpaste. So yeah, that's one that even if it's not in the kit, we got to do some elephant toothpaste next year. Other than that, all the activities were awesome.
Hey, this is Kim. So we had the same situation. We did use the Galilean, but the first time the teachers tried it the first time, and the minute we did it in the gym, and the actual peg that was in the largest ball broke, so we weren't able to use it again.
I'm sorry to hear that. I was at a Duke Energy Science Night, and there were some problems with the one there too. So I'm sad to hear that definitely some schools were having some problems with the actual seismic accelerator.
Well, that's okay, because everything else was perfect. we had everything else to make up for it. It's okay.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
I received a lot of comments on how organized everything was, and the teachers loved that they didn't have to really get anything extra. Everything was there, everything we needed, plenty of supplies. All of our events were a pretty big hit. The ones that the kids loved the most were the bubbles and the visible ink one, as well as the flying machine. They really like that. And we actually set up little like hula hoops for targets for the flying machine. So then they went and tested their machines and they really enjoyed that one. I liked how each of the activities had a different level of difficulty. So my students that really wanted to be challenged, there was a lot of parent student working together at the zip line, which I thought was really great. That was good for my older students, like my 3rd through 5th grade students really enjoyed that one. And I had several families just spend their whole time there to try and figure out how they could get the zip line to do what it was supposed to do. So that was a big hit, but it was the most difficult. But they did enjoy it.
Hey, this is Kim from Bennettsville Intermediate. I agree with you. That's amazing because our GT students, they stayed at the zip line. They would construct, deconstruct, reconstruct. They spent the most amount of time at the zip line. So I concur with that.
Great feedback. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was just gonna add on here. Ours was just, it was amazing, and people were just glad to be back in the building. I mean, that was just, you could just sense just the joy from the kids and the parents. But probably the most successful one for us would have been the bubbles, and nobody loved them more than our 5th grade science teacher, who was like a big kid herself. But the best part was probably the point in the evening when the principal comes to me and said, "Do you think you should have done the bubbles outside?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Go to the art room. Go to the art room." And y'all, I'm talking that deep liquid on our art one. I mean, we had to stop for the janitor to come in and push the mini Zamboni around and go out and come back and start it over again. It was hilarious. I mean, and the main one was the 5th grade science teacher, who happens to be like my best friend. And she's going, "This is awesome." I'm like, oh my word. So it was fun. We had a good time with everything.
Thank you for sharing. So I just wanted to share, if you're looking at my slide, to remind you, I know how May can be, and you need some fillers sometimes, something out of the box. I wanted to remind you that the South Carolina connections are there. They are linked in the resources. And if you have or haven't looked at them, I just captured some screen captures off of here, but each one of the 10 activities has 2 South Carolina connections stated. And those South Carolina connections include perhaps certain people that are doing research, perhaps certain people that have done amazing things in STEM for astronauts, for example. I know, Kim, you can appreciate being from Marlboro County that we have Blenheim ginger ale featured on that page. So, so I would encourage you to encourage your teachers, if they're looking for something STEM or science related, that there are some things on here. They aren't necessarily hands-on things, but they're the kind of things that you could sort of plant a seed with your kids and have them do some research on their own, or create some kind of presentation to share. You could even use them as like a warm-up or a starter at the beginning of a science lesson. There's 20 great things there. And we were gifted those through Kim and her team of, I think she had some student researchers who were able to get some time in to do this, because this was one of the things that we weren't sure we were going to be able to squeeze in year one. But we managed, and Kim did a great job encouraging those folks on her team to share it. So I would encourage you to, send an email out to your teachers and say, hey, there's still some resources out there that you might could use for some fillers coming up in May if you need some things for students. So, and then the other thing was, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm on my phones. I can't, where are those resources located? Are they on the site, the Duke Energy link that you sent us, where the videos?
Yes, the link where you go to the webinars, that same page, there's
Awesome.
a resources button. And if you click that resources button, it will take you, one of the things it'll take you to is South Carolina Connections. But I'll send it out in an email too, just to make sure you get it.
Okay, because we're going to be doing summer school at our school, Bennettsville Intermediate, and we're going to have the STEM link, the STEM piece. So we're going to be teaching our upcoming 3rd graders STEM.
Sounds great. Might be some opportunities there. And that was the other thing I listed on my slide was if you have unused materials, these would be great for, some quick activities with kids leading towards the end of school, as well as possible summer camp opportunities. So,
I've already put them in the STEM lab.
so definitely want them to get used somewhere, somehow, some way. And then I just want to close out a little past my 30 minutes, but I just want to close out with a huge thank you. I mean, I could sit here all day and listen to you tell me how great it was, not because I want you to know that we did a great job and everything. It's just gratifying to know that something made a difference in the lives of kids, something made a difference in your school community, something that we were able to provide to you. We did put some time into the communication pieces. You responded. Your communication with me has been phenomenal. Your effort that you've done to plan the event, phenomenal. The sharing you've done after. If you haven't sent me pictures yet, I still want them. If you put them on social media, I've probably found them if they're on your school page. And most everyone on this call has completed the survey. So I just want to say thank you so much. Kim from UNC, is there something you would like to add before I close this out?
Now, I just want to echo the thanks. It is so gratifying to see the amazing things that the teachers in South Carolina, and then we've had science nights going on as well in North Carolina. You're all amazing, and the effort that you've put into making these events happen at your schools is so appreciated.
And
Yeah, my quick question. This is Kim. My question is that if we're so fortunate to get this grant again, will the activities be the same as the ones we did this year, or will you alternate, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think Tracy already alluded to it. We like to develop 1 to 3 new activities every year. And then we have at this point a library of about 40, 45 activities. So we just pull together usually about 10 activities every year, some of which are brand new, some of which, and then, the majority of which have been used before, but try not to have too many from the most previous year, so that every year it's definitely a whole new kit. And as many activities as possible have been kind of, not just used last year.
That is awesome. Thank you. We're going to try again.
And that's a great segue to be closing out with letting you know what our future plans are. We are definitely beginning the stage of conversations with Kim and North Carolina Science Festival team. And then from there, we will check in with Duke Energy to talk to our partners about future plans. So many people come to the table to make it happen. So we'll definitely keep you posted as we know more. If we are able to move forward with a year 2, I think our goal would be that no later than mid-September, you would see us release it for application. And I will definitely keep all of you on my email contact list. You'll get a direct message from me. In addition to, you can find it on our social media. If your email should change for some reason, be on the lookout on our social media. And if you don't get our newsletter, you can go to our website and sign up for our newsletter, and we will publish it through our newsletter as well. And I will send that out in an email where you can sign up for our newsletter in case you don't have that information. But that's the plan. I will keep you all on my list. And of course, our plan is to grow. North Carolina has a tremendous program. How many schools did you have this year, Kim?
We had 182 schools in 85 out of 100 North Carolina counties this year. So it was our biggest year.
So
but we're in our 11th year. So so there's definitely room for South Carolina to grow.
They are a shining example in which we hope to be able to follow in their footsteps and grow as well. So thank you all so much. Dallas and Kim and I will be on the line. I know we have 3 Kims on this call, so that's a little confusing, but Kim Moore and Dallas and I will be on the line if you need to stick around and chat with us or want to share anything. If not, we appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon and a great finish for the school year. Bye, guys.